Free Tim Cheese, though. Tim Cheese really didn't do shit. I miss Tim Cheese, bro. I was just sitting there one day, just chilling with Tim Cheese, and then he got slimed out, bro. He just got slimed out, bro. He found out it happened. That was when Simon Claw, he called him, bro. He was like, "Yo, Tim, you just got slimed out. John Pork just got with Tina Cheese, Tim's wife. It's crazy work, bro. I can't believe John Pork would do some shit like that, bro. He grew up with Tim Cheese. Tim Cheese misses me. I know, bro. I miss Tim Cheese. He's in hiding right now. There's a clone. There's a clone Tim Cheese. He's got to make sure that he doesn't get cloned again or taken out or slimed out again. Tim Cheese he's in a bad place right now. JP did him dirty. He slimed him out. He's looking for him. And he took all the fame. Everybody believes John Pork. Nobody believes Tim Cheese. Tim Cheese is innocent. I'm telling you right now. Tim Cheese did not do that shit. He couldn't have. He was busy. He was preoccupied. John Pork was not killed by Tim Cheese. Tim Cheese didn't do that. Why would Tim Cheese ever do that shit? They grew up together. Tim Cheese has ops. On God. Tim Cheese has crazy ops and they want to get him. Bro, think about it. Marvin Beak. He's a bird. What are birds? They're drones from the government. They're always watching. They're part of the CIA. What else does the CIA do? They clone people. Tim Cheese was cloned. You gotta think about it. Tim Cheese was cloned. That's why Tim Cheese killed John Pork. Bro, you think I'm joking, but this is the truth. This is what happened. Tim Cheese is innocent. He ain't do that shit. That's why Marvin Beak is after him. And you know what's even crazier? Bro, Marvin Beak's brother made a video and he was dissing Marvin Beak. Or not Marvin Beak, John Pork. He said, when I found out that John Pork was the villain the whole time, he said, "Free Tim Cheese." Marvin Beak's own brother. That's crazy. Marvin Beak is the villain. The villain, I'm telling you. John Pork, Marvin Beak, they are the villains. They work with Hank Grizzle. Do you think Hank Grizzle is a trustworthy guy? This guy is literally a crime boss. Hank Grizzle cannot be trusted. You cannot fuck with Hank Grizzle like that. That's not fair. Bro, they're working with the villains. You can't work with the villains. That's just not how it works. I'm about to pull up the video just so I could talk about what his name is. Hold on. I forgot his name. It's not Marvin Beak. It's like something else Beak. It's Marvin Beak's brother. It's somebody else. That's my cat. That's not the video. Is my cat part of the lore? It's Kevin Beak. Kevin Beak, look. After hearing Tim out. See? Kevin Beak supports Tim Cheese. That's Marvin Beak's own brother. You're gonna support somebody whose family doesn't support them? I can't believe you guys. You guys are really believing John Pork, Marvin Beak, Hank Grizzle? Why would you believe Hank Grizzle? It's not fair, bro. And who are all these new characters you guys are adding? Bro, the penguin? You're going to trust the penguin? I wouldn't trust that penguin. That's not a trustworthy penguin. I wouldn't trust that shit, bro. Why would you trust that shit? It's a conspiracy. There's no way. I'm not stopping until Tim Cheese is free. Tim Cheese is innocent. I've known him personally for years. I've known John Pork personally for years. And let me tell you, John Pork did that shit. John Pork definitely did that shit. There's no way he did not do that shit. There's no possible way he didn't do that shit. There's so much proof, so much evidence. Look at this edit. It proves it. Look at all these characters teaming up against Tim Cheese. Bob Bacon? Come on. Bro, look at this. Is this Justin Cheddar? You know who Justin Cheddar is? Biggie Cheese's nephew. You know who else Biggie Cheese's nephew is? Tim Cheese. Biggie Cheese and Tim Cheese were slimed out by Justin Cheddar. Justin Cheddar betrayed his own family. You know what Biggie Cheese did for his own family? After John Pork left Simon Claw and left Tim Cheese to die, left them with nothing when John Pork got all of his fame, Biggie Cheese gave Tim Cheese and Simon Claw tons of money so they could start a business, so they could be well off. That's how they got all their money, because Biggie Cheese was there for them. And Justin Cheddar. And Justin Cheddar betrayed them. Why would he betray them? This is not fair, bro. Tim Cheese didn't do shit. Why would he ever do shit? He's always been getting betrayed by everybody. And if he did do anything, they had it coming. I know Tim Cheese personally. Tim Cheese would never do anything unjust. Bro, this is what Tim Cheese posted himself. Look, they're hunting him right now. Tim Cheese is getting hunted. Bro, free Tim Cheese. Bro, look. This little penguin is coming after him. Bro, look at this shit though. Bob Bacon is coming after him. Look at this army. Look at this army Bob Bacon has. You know what they call themselves? The John Pork Mafia. You're gonna trust something called the John Pork Mafia? This is an innocent guy. He only has a hostage because he has an army coming after him. He's a normal, reasonable, rational guy. Free Tim Cheese. He's getting hunted by the CIA. Free Tim Cheese. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything at all. Bro, they all loved the pig and they barely knew and spat on the rat that held the truth. That's from Simon Claw himself. Simon Claw said that. You don't know about Simon Claw. Look. Simon Claw, I didn't forget about you. This is Tim Cheese himself. Simon Claw was a real one, bro. He's locked up right now. He's locked up. Can you believe that John Pork would lock up one of his lifelong best friends? What a trustworthy guy, right? No. John Pork is untrustworthy. But look what Tim Cheese would do for one of his lifelong best friends. Look what Tim Cheese is doing. He's breaking his best friend out of jail because John Pork put him in there. John Pork is untrustworthy. Never trust a word that John Pork says. He left his best friend in jail. And Tim Cheese freed him. Because Tim Cheese was his real best friend. Tim Cheese was John Pork's original best friend too. And John Pork did all this shit to him. Can you believe this shit? What type of best friend would steal Tina Cheese, Tim Cheese's wife, from Tim Cheese? John Pork is no best friend. That's no best friend. That's no best friend. There's nothing good about that. Tim Cheese is innocent. I was there. I seen what happened. Tim Cheese was cloned. Marvin Beak works with the CIA. He's one of the birds. The birds are drones. Phase Adapt proved this. We already knew this. And you know what's weird about all this? Who's on their side? Agent 5.5? Agent 5.6? These are governmental agents. They're working with the CIA. Tim Cheese is a random guy, a normal guy just like you and me. John Pork got rich. How? Because he's a CIA plant. That's how John Pork got rich. I've known him for years. Trust me. I found out myself. I did the research. I discovered. I looked for all the details. I know John Pork is an untrustworthy source. Don't trust a word he says. Tim Cheese was there for me. Tim Cheese has so many homeless shelters. Tim Cheese gives out to the needy. Tim Cheese feeds the neighborhood. Tim Cheese is there for everyone. John Pork would never. John Pork never donates to charity. Tim Cheese has his own charity. Tim Cheese is for the people. John Pork is for himself. John Pork is against the people. John Pork runs the John Pork Mafia. You would trust that? You're going to trust the John Pork Mafia over Tim Cheese's nonprofit? I can't believe you guys. Tim Cheese would never do any of that. He was cloned. How could he have possibly done that? Bro, because you got to think about it. When John Pork was killed, Tim Cheese was... Let's see the facts. I'm giving them to you right now. When John Pork was killed, Tim Cheese was fighting Hank Grizzle. Because John Pork was killed on the 69th day at 4:20 p.m. Right? But Hank Grizzle was literally fighting the real Tim Cheese at that time. We already know Marvin Beak, a bird, CIA, they're drones. So obviously they have access to cloning. They cloned Tim Cheese so they could frame him to kill John Pork, and then they locked up the cloned Tim Cheese. Why would they lock up the cloned Tim Cheese? We got to free him too. Don't forget about him. All right, so what did you say? Bro, what do you mean you're getting your nails done my tip color, bro? What? That's weird. But anyways, John Pork is a criminal. John Pork is a liar. He's an untrustworthy source. Bro, do you know how John Pork and Tim Cheese know each other? They were lifelong best friends. They grew up together. They had nothing. They were poor. And then, out of nowhere, John Pork is for breakfast? Yeah, eat that pig. John Pork, he needs to be ended immediately. John Pork, what do you mean? What do you mean eyebrow raise? Bro, John Pork betrayed them. He got famous out of nowhere because he's a CIA government asset. That's what he is. He works for the government. John Pork? Yeah. John Pork is a government asset. Didn't even recognize me with clothes on? Oh, that's a common mistake. All right. Bro, but John Pork, bro. Then, when he gets famous, Tim Cheese and, what's his name? Simon Claw. Bro, they both get left behind. They were still best friends, lifelong friends, and then John Pork wouldn't call them. He said he would call them every day. He wouldn't, bro. That was a whole propaganda, campaign or some shit that John Pork cooked up in his mental brain because he's insane. He's a psychopath. Just so he could pretend that he was better than them because he knew they were eventually going to expose him for never calling. Why do you think he would do that as a campaign to get famous? Because he knew they would expose him. Because what happened? As soon as Simon Claw exposed John Pork, he got locked up. He got locked up immediately. They sent Hank Grizzle after him. They sent he is Simon Claw. They sent Marvin Beak after him. Bro, but you know what happened? Damien Claw worked to get him out with with Tim Cheese. Now Simon Claw is freed. Finally, he is freed. Tim Cheese did the mission. He took him out. He's taken out. He's free. But you know what? You know what I did say last video? We still have Agent 5.5 in custody. And we're not giving him up. We're not giving him up till John Pork surrenders. He's not going home. He will never go free.